Do you know what malt means? It can often be seen on alcohol labels. Malt refers to malted barley, a key ingredient. Yet if it is labeled as malt whiskey, it must also be Scotch. Single malt means that the malt used come from the same distillery. Malt whiskey can vary wildly in taste, depending on how it's made, so there are many different brands. Do you know what the difference between whiskey and brandy is? Alcohol content? Price? No, there's a more fundamental difference. Whiskey is made from grains. Brandy is made from fruit. It tastes differently when you think about it that way. Have you heard of the term angel's share? During the aging process, some whiskey will be lost to evaporation. This is called the angel's share. I hear that if they seal it so it doesn't evaporate, the whiskey doesn't have that nice aroma. What a fancy way of saying it. Gasoline is a liquid which is volatile and highly flammable. So it's just like alcohol, isn't it? Gasoline is fuel for automobiles. So would they run on alcohol? Actually, in a race in South Africa, there was a car that ran close to 200 miles on whiskey. It seems like such a waste to run a car on a delicious whiskey. Do you know what the strongest distilled alcohol beverage in the world is? The strongest alcohol beverage in the world is spiritus, or rectified spirit, a vodka made in Poland. It is distilled more than 60 times. It is 190 proof. But apparently locals do not drink it. They use it to make homemade liqueurs, dipping fruits in it. Can you spell whiskey without the E correctly? Actually, whiskey and whiskey with the E are both correct spellings. In the United Kingdom, I hear they spell it differently depending on what kind of whiskey it is. Bourbon has K-E-Y, and Scotch has none. This is how some learn it. These are nice things to know to be very knowledgeable in whiskey. Generally, whiskey without the E is British English, and whiskey with the E is American English. Do you know what the word whiskey means? It means water of life in Gaelic, a language from Northern Europe. It's nice to know where your favorite things come from. The name rum and cola is actually a nickname. But do you know the real name of this drink? It is called the Cuba Libre. The rum called for in this drink represents Cuba. This is a cocktail which mixed the national specialties of Cuba and the United States as a celebration of Cuba's independence. Cuba Libre means free Cuba. It tastes differently when you know the history. There are a lot of cocktails with the name fizz in them. But do you know where this comes from? Fizz-type cocktails are a distilled drink, plus lemon, plus sugar, and soda water. Fizz refers to the sound the soda makes. They are all sweet, so even lightweights can wash them down like juice. Did you know the United States outlawed alcohol between 1920 and 1933? It is said that this prohibition paved the way for the cocktail culture to bloom. Alcohol made in secret tended to taste terrible, so people began mixing it with anything and everything to make it more enjoyable. These are the roots of the modern cocktail. The more you stomp on the weed, the more it thrives. My, that's deep. It's said that chugging alcohol isn't good for you, but sometimes it's necessary. The cocktail, Nikolashka, is an example of this. It uses cognac, lemon, coffee, and sugar. But first you put the lemon, coffee, and sugar in your mouth. Then you take a big swig of the cognac. Of course, you can't even talk until you drink it all. It's necessary to chug it. But cognac contains 40% alcohol, so those with low tolerances should not attempt this. One style of cocktail that requires the most experience and technique to create is the pousse café. Normally cocktails are stirred thoroughly, but this is a cocktail you cannot mix. The bartender creates a beautiful rainbow inside the glass by carefully layering differently colored liqueurs according to their densities. But what is the best way to drink this? Mixing it will ruin the effect, and if you don't mix it, it stays separated. Perhaps the agony of indecision is part of the pousse café's appeal. Liquor is usually consumed for the purpose of getting drunk, but some cocktails exist for the opposite reason. One such cocktail is the prairie oyster, made to fix hangovers. The recipe is Worcestershire sauce, tomato juice, vinegar, pepper, and raw egg. It is meant to be swallowed in a single gulp, so the yolk remains unbroken. Who thought this up in the first place? Cold beer can be amazing, but do you know the best temperature to enjoy a good brew? When beer gets too cold, the proteins solidify and cloud the beer, and it doesn't form a good head. It does vary by season, brand, and personal taste, but most beers are not intended to be served at lower than 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's already very cold. Be wary of bars that freeze their beer. It's said that the glass shape and pour style has much to do with how much foam you get, but there is another factor. It's also the cleanliness of the glass. Even a tiny bit of oil or dust will affect the beer's surface tension, making it less foamy. This means that it's not good to wipe the wet beer glass with the dry cloth. Rinse the glass with hot water and turn it over to let it air dry. Please try this out. Do you know what draft beer is? Fresh beer still has yeast bacteria inside it, which cannot be preserved. However, the beer's taste is changed by pasteurization. Draft beer is unpasteurized. However, it is possible to filter draft beer to remove the bacteria so the beer lasts longer. You've heard of beer belly, but did you know that beer itself doesn't make you fat? Beer is relatively low in calories and makes you urinate more, so the calories don't build up, making it hard to get fat. Yet, since sugar is required to break down alcohol, and beer foam makes you hungrier. When these things combine, you get the munchies and voila, beer belly. Beer is loved all over the world, but where did it come from? The earliest records of beer making are from 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. It is said the barley used to make bread fermented naturally, and beer was created by coincidence. The earliest known alcohol is said to be from 9,000 years ago in China, a mix of rice and fruit alcohols. I guess you could say that humanity has had a long time to enjoy their drinks. When was the first time you ever drank beer? Just because you're legally underage to purchase beer does not always mean it is illegal to drink it. Many countries have different drinking ages. In New Zealand, there is no minimum drinking age if under parental supervision. On the other hand, many Islamic nations forbid alcohol at any age. Do you know the etymology of the word beer? Neither do I, unfortunately. There is no definitive answer to this question. However, the most likely candidate is the Latin bibere, meaning to drink. A drink's name is derived from the act of drinking itself. That's quite a thing. On a side note, the Spanish word cerveza is apparently traced back to the Roman goddess Ceres. Refined sake is made by filtering nigori sake. But did you know another strange ingredient is added at this time? Ash is added. It's said that the sake master in the Edo period put ash into the sake to take out his anger. This is the unexpected success story behind this delicacy. Do you know what the difference between shochu and seichu is? Since the Chinese character for burn is the word shochu, many people think shochu is made by heating it up. Actually, shochu is merely distilled sake, so people who like shochu might have a high tolerance for alcohol. Do you know who the first Westerner to drink Japanese sake was? According to records, it was Spanish missionary Francis Xavier who came to Japan in 1549. In his letters written back home, he was amazed to learn that the alcohol was made from rice, not fruit. It must have been a rice surprise. Japanese sake uses many different words in brand names, but the most commonly used is Masamune. Why has Masamune been such a common name since olden times? Masamune could be a person's name, but the origin actually does not come from a person. An old sake maker found a phrase, Rinzai Seishu. Though spelled differently, Seishu can also mean sake, but the character for Seishu is also read Masamune, and the term stuck. Wait, all this history for a lousy pun? Do you know the true meaning behind nama ippon? A type of Japanese sake. There are conditions a sake brewer must follow to label their sake nama ippon. 1. It must only be made with rice and malted rice. 2. No water is added after squeezing. And 3. No sake from other batches may be mixed into the brew. This means that the drink is pure rice sake. Use this knowledge the next time you buy sake. In Japan, a common phrase to describe a drunk person is drunk as dirt. Do you know where this phrase comes from? The dirt in this case isn't actually dirt. A bug that appears in all Chinese tales is called a day and uses the same character as dirt in Japanese. They live in water, and when they walk on the land, they stagger about like a drunkard. So where did the drink now known as Japanese sake originate? Most sake that appears in Japanese mythology are actually fruit liqueurs. Only after the Japanese began to plant rice did sake come to refer to rice sake. That means it might be a drink that came over from China or Korea. Unlike white wine, red wine isn't characterized as sweet or dry. To express the richness of a red wine, it is described by likening it to the shape of a woman's body. Light, medium, and full. I wonder what a full body looks like. Do you know why red wine and white wine differ in color? Red wine is produced by fermenting everything, including the skin and seed, while white wine only requires the juice to be fermented. As a result, red wine tastes bitter, while white wine tastes fruity. Either you enjoy the bitterness or you pursue the sweetness. Oh, sounds like the story of a certain someone's life. Did you know that it's best to store wine bottles on their sides for long-term preservation? Maintaining a tight deal between the cork and wine supposedly prevents oxygen from entering the bottle. Proper storage is important for the long-term preservation of an aging wine. They often say the well-slept child is a well-kept child. Do you know the difference between a dry white wine and a sweet white wine? A dry wine is made when the fermentation process converts most of the grape sugar into alcohol. On the other hand, sweet is made when more of that sugar is retained. It is a rare man who can enjoy both the sweet and bitter taste of life. Did you know that swirling one's wine glass isn't just for show? It is a way to get more air into the wine, so it releases more aroma. It can change the taste considerably, so I suggest you give it a try. Just make sure you don't drink so much that your head starts swirling instead. Do you know what Beaujolais Nouveau is? It is a wine that is freshly produced in France every year. Many strive to get their hands on it as soon as it's released. Apparently, Nouveau is French for new. Let's enjoy a fresh new wine as we ponder the blessings of the vine. Do you know the patron saint of wine? In Christianity, he is regarded as its protector. His name is Saint Vincent. Every year, the good people of France celebrate his sainthood. If only a certain drunkard would protect something other than alcohol. People will often associate wine with France, but its history dates all the way back to Roman times. It is said that Caesar's conquest brought the art of winemaking to France. I guess it was through bloodshed that wine was able to tour the world. And that's all your trivia for tonight. Now please enjoy as the story approaches its climax. The die is cast. And if you enjoyed my video, hope you like, subscribe, or dislike, whichever one you prefer. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.